Yeah. So I hope everybody is able to see my screen. Yeah, and you've done most of these things. So mine, basically, remember the topic is contemporary issues in finance. Contemporary issues in finance. And you are left with only 2 areas that you should be able to finish today. You've done 9.4. Yeah, you have done 9.5 big data. Yeah, so today we are looking at Islamic finance 9.6, and that is where we shall begin from. Now, in terms of Islamic finance, what are we supposed to remember, my good students? Remember, Islamic finance prohibits interests. It prohibits what we call interest. So there is no way I will give you 1,000,000 Kenya shillings in the form of a loan, and then when you are returning back, you return these as 1.1 million. 1.1 million. So the question will be, for these 100,000 that I've earned, what have you given me? Or rather, you have given me 100,000. What have I given you in exchange of these 100,000? Yeah, so remember in Islam, you can't sell money. Yeah, you can't say that I've sold 1,000,000 and now I'm getting 100,000 on top. That is not allowed. Islamic finance, ladies and gentlemen, believes in what we call tangible assets. Tangible assets. So in this case here, ladies and gentlemen, you have given me these 100,000. I must have given you something that you can touch. Yeah, tangible. Very, very important. Also remember that Islamic finance prohibits what we call gharar. Gharar. Lots of what here, lots of betting. It doesn't work with speculations. If you get a member of Islam, ladies and gentlemen, who is gambling, then that is not a true Islam. Yeah, a member of Islam community who is gambling, that is not allowed in terms of Islamic water finance. In terms of Islamic finance, so I shall be able to read this handout now very fast with that knowledge. So we are told here, Islamic finance is a system of finance that adheres to Sharia or Islamic law, primarily derived from the Quran and what we call the Sunnah. Yeah, Islamic principles. Its core principles emphasize ethical and the social responsible financial practices, contrasting with conventional finance in several fundamental ways. Ladies and gentlemen, these things are very, very popular in your exam. There is no way you will be able to pass advanced financial management without mastering lots of theories. As I'm going to show you from your past papers, in most cases like last semester, the theory marks were over 30%. So if you're able to get all these 30% marks of theory, you need very little, like 10%, yeah, for you to be able to pass this paper. So that's why I want you to be very good with theories. So core principles, prohibition of riba, interest. This is the most defining principle. Charging or receiving interest on loans is forbidden, as it is seen as exploitative and unjust. Instead, Islamic finance promotes profit and loss sharing or asset-backed transactions. Asset-backed transactions. Yeah, tangible assets. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with Christians, as Christians, you are very good, because as Christians, you'll get, in this case here, for example, myself giving somebody 1,000,000 Kenya shillings, and then I require this person to pay me 20% per month. Is there anybody among us ourselves who has ever gotten that kind of a loan? A killer loan, where somebody gives you money and then they tell you to pay back at what return? 20% per month. So at the end of the day, you are basically working for this person. This is really full exploitation. This is unethical. All right? Great. Shylock, yes. At least then I can see then you are very truthful. Then I should be able to give you a present. And automatically that means that then, even CPA Guru, you guys must be entrepreneurs. If you are telling me that you have never ever borrowed at those particular high rates of interest, it means you guys are not very good risk takers, eh? Or you are all of you Islam members, we shall overcome. All right. And then we have here the concept of risk sharing. Instead of a fixed interest rate, the lender and the borrower, or investor and entrepreneur, share the risks and rewards of a business venture. If the venture fails, both parties bear the loss. This promotes fairness and discourages excessive risk-taking. Like I remember, one day I was borrowing from First Community Bank. First Community Bank is one of those original Islamic banks, which unfortunately is not doing very well as we speak. But I mean, when I was borrowing from them, that is over 15 years ago. Yeah, these people were not giving you like a loan at an interest rate. No, they basically tell you, we are giving you 10 million. And out of this 10 million, should you make a profit, we are sharing that profit with you. Should you make a loss, then again, we share the loss with you. All right? And fortunately, most Islamic members of Islam, ladies and gentlemen, are very, very honest. Most of them, of course, not all of them, but talk of 90% of them. And I'm really sorry to use this example. You'll get even here at RCM, if a member of RCM, I mean, this is really a bad example, but it is really very genuine. So if I get, for example, a member of Islam telling me, Dr. Aura, I'm bringing my son to RCM, I'm supposed to pay you 20,000 Kenya shillings, which I don't have today. But come December, I will give you this 20,000. Trust you me, in the month of December, you will get that old there coming with that money and they will pay you. Yeah. What of us Christians, ladies and gentlemen? It's good to be very honest. Of course, we are very, very good people. Yeah. Because, of course, we are going to heaven, all of us, right? But most of us are not very, very honest, especially whenever it comes to issues of money. That is why you will get, for example, members of Islam. They agree, like 5 of them, that they want to put up a bigger platform, high-rise building. Yeah, a high-rise building of 5 floors, right? I'm giving 30 million, another one 40 million, and they don't even put that in agreement in writing. Yeah, and they'll be able to put that money together, and when it comes to sharing returns, they share as per agreements. Their level of trust and being genuine people is up there. Yeah, and we should be able to discuss this. Am I saying the truth? Is there somebody here who has ever dealt with a Muslim? Are these guys also great liars like Christians? Let's talk. Remember, in this class, we talk. We talk to agree, we talk to disagree. You can disagree with me. Of course, this is a beautiful thing with online classes. I will not come and slap you. No. I mean, this is just camera. Let's talk the truth here, somebody. Any Christian who has ever dealt with a member of Islam and they are agreeing with me, yeah, no paperwork, no agreement, but things work. Same as Israel is okay. They work on trust. True, and they really grow. Like right now, these guys are taking over Nairobi. Whenever you go around and you're seeing very, very big apartments being constructed here, it is either they belong to the Chinese or they belong to who? To the Somali community members. Yeah. I'm not saying that they are 100% perfect, because I can see some ninja here saying some lie and she's laughing. Yeah. So some lie. All of us, of course, we can't be good. You will always get one bad apple. But majority of them, they are good. Like even most restaurants in CBD, now they are being owned by them. I work with them. Mostly deals go well without paperwork. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So risk sharing, very, very important. Then we have here prohibition of 𝗥𝗖𝗠, excessive uncertainty stroke speculation. Transactions involving excessive uncertainty, ambiguity, or speculation like gambling or highly complex derivatives with opaque underlying assets are prohibited. All terms and conditions of a contract must be clear and transparent. You know why, ladies and gentlemen, Islam does not allow this gambling. Gambling at the end of the day, gambling, I'm so sure, even in this classroom, there must be gamblers. They normally call themselves international investors. Now, for gambling, always the house must win. it is very, very hard to get gamblers themselves winning. For gambling, the house must always win. Whenever you place a stake, at the end of the day, you will keep on cheating us that you saw, you see like a stake here, just 100 bob, and I got 30,000. So that's what they keep on showing us. But underlying currents, these guys are getting losses, which they're not showing us. Most gamblers are really, really poor. Yeah, and this thing is so addictive. So Islamic is about ethics. It's looking at these particular two members and seeing like how can both of them benefit. When one party is only benefiting, then that cannot be an Islamic activity. That is why gambling is really discouraged in Islam. If you get any Muslim member betting, then trust me, that person is not really following the Muslim principles, Sharia law. Or do you want to tell me that there is somebody here who is betting? Yeah. Okay, a lead, I doubt. A lead, I doubt. I doubt, because a leader, you must be a Muslim. I doubt whether you have those things with you. I doubt. Aviator, I doubt. Pirates in Somalia, okay. We also had a topic on Christianity. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. And please, I'm not preaching Muslim. I'm only trying to bring out good things about them that I know in terms of what is Islamic finance. Because Islamic finance is becoming bigger and bigger by the day. That is why it is examinable in your paper. All right. Christianity in terms of finance, my dear, trust you me, we know, for example, like these KWT, these women finance, whatever, bank. Have you ever seen how they go for those women back at home who have never paid, who are not able to pay their loans? Have you ever seen normally what they do to them? Is that ethical? Is that ethical? Is that ethical? That is not what you want me to talk about here. Wanabeba roof, yes. So wanakuja kama sasa hivi kuna baridi, kuna mvua, wanaamua wanabeba tu roof. Pap, wanaenda nayo. Islam, that can never happen. And I'll be able to show you why. Yeah, in a moment. Great. So prohibition of gharar. Gharar means what here? I mean gambling, excess risks. Prohibition of gambling by itself here, any form of gambling or speculative activities designed to make money without real effort or value creation is forbidden. Investment in permissible activities, only halal. Funds must only be invested in businesses or activities that are ethical and compliant with Sharia. Prohibited sectors include alcohol. You can't get any member of Islam owning a bar. If you get a member of Islam owning a bar, that will really, really be bad. They don't run pork, any pork food activities, pornography, gambling, conventional arms, and tobacco. This is haram. Haram. Asset-backed transactions. Financial transactions should be linked to real economic activity and tangible assets. This means money itself should not be used to make money as in interest, but rather through legitimate trade and productive investments. Social responsibility and the zakah. Zakah, of course, this is like the tithes we give in Christianity. Yeah. So Islamic finance encourages social responsibility and the wealth distribution. Zakat is obligatory charity. Remember the zakah kama sadaka. You don't give this to the mosque. Zakah you give to people who are out there, poor people, etc., and it's obligatory. Yeah. Now, ladies and gentlemen, like where I live with a few Muslims there. And this at times puts me at a very awkward position. During these, they have very good functions there, where, for example, they slaughter meat, and they will bring us, lots of it. Yeah, and ourselves, whenever it comes to Christmas, I mean, we've got nothing to give them. Because to them, ladies and gentlemen, charity is part and parcel of the livelihood. Yeah, charity, giving. That is why today, if you go to a mosque today, you'll get so many people who are poor, who are lining in a mosque. After the service is over, these guys are obliged to give zakah to these people like that. Is it very easy, to be very honest, to get poor people lining outside the church? Outside the church, is it very easy to get, in this case here, poor people lining outside the church? And then church members normally give them something small. Is it easy? Is it easy? I'm not saying that our religion is bad. I'm not saying that religion is bad. Our religion is bad. Oh, Catholic does that. Okay. I would want to challenge all of you, ladies and gentlemen, please let's be very good givers. If you're a giver, you will never ever know what we call poverty. Like myself, you must have noticed this. Myself, from young ages, I've always been a net giver. A net giver. Naweza kaa hivi nasema huyu, leo anakaa yuko sawa. Yeah, nampatia kitu namna hiyo. Nazidi kuwa maskini. Every day I'm growing. I give. In the great. Yeah, real Christians do give. Great. Real Christians do give. But Philip Kio, thank you very much. How we give to very few people. For example, we could be giving to our pastors. Yeah, so you're given as a pastor, and you see, as a pastor, you're supposed to be having programs for the church, where, for example, you give most of those monies you receive to the poor. But most pastors don't do that. The only church that is very aggressively giving out here to the poor through CSR, as somebody has told us here, is, for example, Catholic Church. Like now, Catholic Church, we know these guys are running like 40% of the education sector in Kenya. They are into hospitals. Most of these, even SDA, they try, but not as Catholic. Even CITAM tries, but not as Catholic. Catholic, they're at a different high level in terms of giving out to these communities that are really deserving. All right? Yeah, like ourselves in this case here, we give to show off. Shayla, I'm telling you, if this was a physical class, I would have come to your desk and high-fived. Maybe I should be able to high-five today with 500 shillings in M-Pesa. We shall overcome. Now, we continue here. Great. So, common Islamic finance products. We have what we call murabaha. Muraba. Kwa Kiswahili ni muraba, Nakupa muraba moja, nakusupport. Yeah, cost plus financing. So the bank buys an asset, e.g. a car or a house, and then sells it to a customer at a pre-agreed markup. The customer repays the bank in installments. The bank takes ownership risk until the sale to the customer is complete. So under Murabah, ladies and gentlemen, it is cost plus financing. So in this case here, you come and tell me, hey, I want a car. So what the bank will do, it will buy this car from a dealer. So it will tell you this is $1 million. All right. But in this case here, because we are also in business, we shall do what we call cost plus financing. So we shall take $1 million plus, say, 10%. Yeah. So the bank in this case here buys the asset, e.g. a car or a house, and then sells it to the customer. So you are selling, you will not be paying us this 10% as interest. It will not be time-based. So you're buying this at $1 million. We are putting markup, which is a profit on top of the $1 million. So she'll be able to sell it to you, this at 1.1. Yeah. So the bank buys this asset, e.g. a car or a house, then sells it to the customer at a pre-agreed profit. The customer repays the bank in installments. The 1.1 million you will pay in installments, and this car will still remain ours as a bank until you finish paying your installments. We call that one muraba. It is something ambayo haungeweza kununua peke yako. Tumekupiga jeki. So inaitwa murabaha. Islam borrows a lot from Kiswahili, eh? Yeah. Then we have musharaka, kutoka kushirikiana, partnership. So this is a joint venture where the bank and the client contribute capital to a project. and share profits and losses based on their agreed upon contribution ratio. So two things here. And msharaka, we shall have the bank doing like 70% of capital financing of this asset. And then myself as Joshua Aura, I give 30%. So the bank is contributing capital, and I'm also contributing this capital. All right. And then when it comes to profit/loss sharing, we also share into the profits or losses as per the agreed proportions. The bank will take 70% of the profit or loss. I myself, I take 70 or rather 30% of the profit or loss that we make. We call that one musharaka. Tunashirikiana kupeana capital, na pia tunashirikiana kupokea profit, the returns. And then now we have mudaraba, or mudariba, mudaraba, profit sharing. So here it's only one party that will provide 100% capital, e.g. the bank. And the other party now provides expertise and management. The client. Profits are shared according to pre-agreed ratios, but losses will always be taken by the capital provider. Because Islam si dini ya kugandamiza. Hawezi sema sasa mtu kama, for example, assuming today Aura is rich. So I come and partner, for example, with one of you who is not very rich simply because of your age and simply because you are a student. So assuming this person is Alfred. So this Dr. Aura, who is now 47 years old, is running a college, is running an audit firm. He has been in the business for longer, so he has capital. So I give you 10 million. So, and we start a new business with Alfred. So Alfred now will be the one doing the day-to-day operations. He's the one who is managing this business. Call this one here JE for Joshua Alfred Enterprises. So if we make a profit, then we share. In most cases, we share equally. Assuming Alfred does a very, very good job and is able to get a return of 3 million. So it come at the end of the year, I will get 1.5 million, Alfred gets 1.5 million. Remember, Alfred never gave even a single cent in terms of capital to Joshua Alfred Enterprises. He never did that. Joshua provided all the capital. Mudaraba. Joshua provided all the capital. Alfred is the one who is running the business. And remember, according to this Mudaraba concept, when Alfred runs the business, he has to get a stipend. Actually, it's a salary because it's day-to-day. So should we make a profit? We share equally. But what happens should we make a loss? If we make a loss of 5 million, remember Alfred is just but a student. So if you tell Alfred in this case here that Alfred, you're going to take a share of this loss, Alfred, in this case here, pay back 2.5 million. Take the share of 50% of this loss. Alfred may, go under. That will really be a shocker to him. He's just but a young man who is starting, in this case here, his livelihood, maybe immediately after college. So according to Mudaraba, should we share a loss, or rather should we get a profit? We share. But losses will always be taken by the rich person, the capital provider. Are we okay, ladies and gentlemen, up to there? Are we okay? Are we okay? Are we able to follow? Yeah, we are doing contemporary issues. If you look at your course outline very well, contemporary issues, we have Islamic finance. We have Islamic finance. Great, we are okay. So Alfred, as I finish, please see me after this. We see whether we can enter into this kind of a Mudaraba arrangement. But remember, you must work very hard. You can't say that because if I make a loss, I will not take part of loss sharing. No, Islam also wants you to work for your money. You must sweat. You must sweat. You must sweat. You must work. So if it's a loss, it shall be a genuine loss. All right. So we have Mudaraba, profit sharing. Then we have Ijara, like they are so big with Ijara. Leasing. The bank buys an asset and it leases it to the client for a fixed period. At the end of the lease, the client can purchase the asset. Look at, for example, here, where we have Jamia Mosque. So, at Jamia Mosque, we used to have so many clubs. The bars, these clubs, restaurants selling beer. And this really made the Jamia Mosque members very uncomfortable because those clubs were noisy. Is there anybody who is able to remember a club, an old club, which used to be there? Was it like Tropez? Was it Tropez or something? Very, very many clubs there. Yeah. So what in this case here, the mosque did, they bought those buildings. And when they bought the buildings, they leased them out to interested parties. One of the people who really benefited most is Al-Yusra. If you know Al-Yusra, that house, that entire building, Al-Yusra, is owned by Jamia Mosque. So it's Ijara principle. And remember, Ijara, these guys are, if you get a true Muslim, and then of course you have lived in his house for some time, if you're not able to pay rent, these guys will even give you, they'll tell you, fine, of course, you're in business, but I'm going to give you like even 3 months without paying. Please sort yourself out. It's very, very hard for you to get a Muslim landlord breaking into somebody's doors. I'm so sure here we are very, very good Christians, but I'm so sure there must be a ninja who broke into somebody's tenant's door last month. I know, I can see you. I know. So Ijara is leasing. The bank buys an asset and leases it to the client for a fixed period. At the end of the lease, the client can purchase the asset. Now, if you look at how our Ijara in Christianity, how it works, and these I've seen it, like I have a friend of mine who is into these primary schools. So this guy went somewhere here around Kamulu, hired 3 acres to be specific, 20 and a lease, 20-year lease. So and he was able to build very good classrooms, very good admin block. Then the school grew from nowhere, and this was really a very valid lease, even registered. The owner knew that in 20 years I will have recouped back my money. When it reached around year number 8, when the school was doing very, very well, we had a big tussle between the lessor and the lessee. The school could not continue. Remember, schools, these are really very sensitive businesses. All right. Once you have, in this case, like a lessor who comes and, for example, stop students from entering classrooms or even at the gate, then that school will not be able to. So we Christians are very good in terms of leases. Muslims are better in terms of leases. Because remember, we've been able to put up this kind of a big structure. Yeah, like second floor of hostels for our kids, etc. So after 20 years are over, we are looking at fairness. Given in this case here what we have been able to put up ourselves as the lessees, then we shall, if it's Muslim Ijara concept, we shall be able to bring in a valuer on the 20th year. So we get the market rates and we tell this ninja, we know that you've been able to put up this school. Hey, you. Now we have valued this school. It's worth 80 million. Are you able to pay us this 80 million even in terms of installments? If yes, then we bequeath you the school. Otherwise, in most cases, the lessor atatamani sana hizo assets, lessor. Ataka hizo assets and yet, sisi weti yake kuzi build. In Islam, they appreciate that it is this person who sorted to put up these buildings. So they give you an option to purchase at the end of the lease. Affordable housing by government. Do we have to use? Yes, you must use those Islamic words, yes. Evelyn, you must use those Islamic words. And they're not very, very hard. How comes I've mastered them? Mudaraka, Mudaraba. We have Musharaka. Yeah, Ijara for leases. Yeah, they're not very hard. You'll be able to master them. You guys have the energy. And even Mwalimu. Then we have Sukuk bonds. Yeah, Islamic bonds. These are asset-backed securities that represent an ownership share in tangible assets or a business venture, generating returns from the underlying assets, profits or rental income, rather than what-year interest. These are asset-backed securities that represent an ownership share in what? In tangible assets or a business venture generating returns from the underlying assets, profits or rental income, rather than interest. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, don't worry, this ninja will be able to take care of this ninja. This is very easy. I will be able to take care of this ninja, don't worry. This ninja. Disable our nation. Great. 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 Yeah. So remember during Rotich's time, where you guys are old enough, we used to have a minister going by the name Rotich during Uhuru's time. So Rotich organized for Kenya government to raise money using Eurobonds. Yeah, Eurobonds. And then he said Eurobonds now are not sustainable. He said, let's use Sukuk bonds. What is the difference between Eurobonds and Sukuk bonds? Sukuk bonds are those bonds that we use to raise money, which are now based on Islamic principles. Most of our leaders, of course, we are not afraid to speak. Most of them, not all of them, they are thieves. Sukuk bonds and Islam, if they give you 200 billion, they would want to know where their money has been invested. The contract must be very transparent. They would want to follow their money to the last coin. Because if an Islam gives you money, and then you go and build a brothel using this money, you go and build, for example, a pork selling or even dairying infrastructure, that Muslim will not go to heaven. Yeah. So they follow a lot. You see, why most of us are now in problems, it's because our leaders borrowed money using Eurobonds, which are really not careful. They are not keen in knowing where their money has been invested. I remember one time Raila Amolo Odinga was saying, if 200 billion came to Kenya like this, this is money that we would have even been able to smell. And we laughed at him. Most of us in this case have believed in Uhuru that time, right? And for sure, most of this Eurobond money was never utilized very well here in Kenya. Or rather, even if it was utilized very well here in Kenya, we don't even have a trace of how much we owe our international lenders. We don't know. If it was Sukuk bond, like Tanzania borrows a lot using Sukuk bonds, you'll be able to know your debt to the very last cent. Because then they would want to be told, we gave you 200 billion. My 10 billion was invested in what? They will even be in charge of constructions. Because then they follow their money to the last coin. I'm telling you, if we were borrowing using Sukuk bonds, the kind of infrastructure today would be having in Kenya, they would be humongous, big. Of course, we tried. We have some expressway here, some Thika road here and there. We have SGR, but I'm telling you, that money was never used optimally. Yeah, because the Eurobonds, like we know Eurobonds, of course, we got money from Germany, Britain, America. The lenders, even IMF, even World Bank up to date, it's not that careful really in following the loans they give, how they are being utilized. That is why now the African countries are getting themselves being in big problem. All right? Because in this case here, money will be just loaned like that, because there is nobody in this case here who is really accountable, that responsible. They'll simply get that money, it's blown off. Yeah, the liability booked to be paid by our future generations, which is really, really sad. If it is Sukuk bonds, these are the people to work with. All countries like Saudi Arabia, yeah, which borrow using these Sukuk bonds, ladies and gentlemen, are really, really way up there. Countries that don't believe in most of this, like corruption, look at a country like Dubai. You know, in Dubai, if they get you being corrupt over there are no two ways about it. Yeah. In Dubai, you can't get, for example, like ministers are moving around with money is calling like empowerment programs, they're giving 30 million. No. Over there are systems. And that is why those guys, if you go to Dubai today, things are working in Dubai. Like in Dubai, you can never get a policeman along the roads. Everything there is systemized. Everything there is automated. If, for example, in Dubai, you just knock someone's vehicle from behind, both of you will stop, the cameras are on the road, they take photos, they take these to the insurance company systems. They are able to, those systems, even decide like who is on the wrong, which insurance company will be paid. If you call a policeman that you are not able to agree over something, the two of you must pay that policeman. Yeah. If you go to any hospital in Dubai, now we have, for example, what we call e-pharmacy. Yeah. I go to 𝗥𝗖𝗠 here. I've been able to see my consultant. I've been able to go to my lab, gone back to my consultant. Now I'm sent to the pharmacy, and then I'll be able to take like a whole hour or even 2 hours in the pharmacy. And that's why they put those coffee dispensers. You can be drinking coffee over there. All that, ladies and gentlemen, is cost of corruption, if you ask me. If you had good systems like in Dubai, you go into Dubai hospital, they are able, in this case, to capture your face. Yeah, they have very good biometric face identification things. When you go to the lab, automatically you see, in this case, a robot coming to you very fast. It has been able to identify you. It gives you the drugs. So not unless you want to question, like, I don't understand this and this, I mean, within 2-3 minutes, you're off that hospital. Yeah, but in Africa, we'll continue being behind because we believe in ventures where even when we are borrowing loans, we shall be given kickbacks. When, for example, investors are coming to a country, we shall be given kickbacks. Look at now where we find ourselves in. So many youths, no jobs. And these youths, one day, it may not be today. It may be 10 years from today, but they're going to eat all of us. This thing will consume all of us. It's an international disaster. And that is why we need to now stop taking money using these Eurobonds. We need to stop even getting money using these T-bills, because they sell T-bills like this, they steal all the money. If it is Sukuk bonds, you'll be surprised we will be in a good position. So relevancy in Kenya, Islamic finance is growing in Kenya with a number of Islamic banks, e.g. Gulf African Bank, First Community Bank, and the conventional banks like ABSA today, KCB today. They're also offering Sharia-compliant products. It attracts not only Muslim clients, but also non-Muslims like us, who are drawn to its ethical principles and the emphasis on real economic activity, not fake things. So that is the end of Islamic finance. Not unless you have a question, then I'll be able to go to behavioral finance. So I hope you guys will be able to remember something about Islamic finance. Can you kindly name 5 things in Islamic finance that you guys will never forget? Which, when it comes to exams, when you see them, you'll be able to, I mean, just 5 things, very short, 1 word or 2 words. What is it that you will never forget under Islamic finance? Garar, great sukuk bonds, Islamic bonds, riba. No, riba is haram. Sukuk bonds, mudaraba. Yeah, riba is haram. Musharaka, kushirikiana. Ijara, leasing, yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Great. Sukuk and, right? I know it's a typo. Sukuk. Musharaka partnership. Ijara, thank you so much. You guys have really mastered this. Now allow me to go to behavioral finance. Now under behavioral finance, whenever I hear of behavioral finance, I always remember the concepts of cognitive. Cognitive means what in the mind. You know, we have what we call conventional finance, which is basically profit-based. So under conventional finance, if you tell me, go for equity shares, you'll be able to get 3 shillings as a return. Go for Safaricom shares, you'll be able to get 10 shillings as a return. Under conventional finance, I'll always be moved by the profit motive. Which one has got a higher profit? 10. So I go for Safaricom. That's conventional finance. But now behavioral finance is different. So behavioral finance, we do not look at even the money. There's some sentimental attachments. Yeah. You know, for us at times, ladies and gentlemen, you're able to make investments, not purely for the sake of money that you shall get out of this investment, but basically because we love things. Yeah, there are people who love things simply because they are attached to them, not because of the benefits they will get. It is the attachment. Even employment. I've seen people, like even myself, ladies and gentlemen, you will get like, we have had very, very good jobs in the past, better than what I'm doing even at RCM. Yeah. But at times you look at, fine, I'm getting like, say, a salary of 1.5. But the pressure that is there, it's unimaginable. The targets which are there, you're not sleeping. You're almost getting high blood pressure. All right? So you come and say, let me come and just be teaching these people. Yeah, after all, I'm also developing the nation. So I may not be getting as much as I used to get then, but here I am. I'm doing what I love doing. All right. So this is what we call behavioral finance, where in this case here, at times you simply follow what your heart desires. At times you're even more confused because you're forced to follow what other people are saying. All right. What we call hard like the hard cows, yeah. Yeah. So without really thinking rationally, you simply make decisions based on behavior. Yeah, based on behavior. So please allow me to read this. This is so important. It comes in your exams. And I'll be able to prove to you that this is very important because later on here, we are doing past paper questions. You can see these past paper questions, and I work with the most recent questions, like April 2025, December 2024, with answers there. So shall be doing, in this case here, past paper questions, and you're going to see, ladies and gentlemen, that this is really very, very important, like August 2024. And I taught you this. They asked us to discuss 3 types of crowdfunding. I'm so sure not many of you, but I'll come to past papers. For now, allow us to look at behavioral finance. Behavioral finance. Yeah, so what is it? Traditional or conventional finance theory assumes that investors are perfectly rational and always make decisions to maximize their satisfaction, to maximize their profits, for example. Behavioral finance challenges this assumption by integrating insights from psychology and cognitive science to understand how psychological factors, emotions, and cognitive biases influence financial decision-making. It recognizes that humans are not always rational. We are not always that bright. We do not always, in this case here, make our decisions on the basis of what you're maximizing profits. Key concepts. We have a herd mentality. The tendency for individuals to follow the actions of a larger group, even if those actions contradict their own information or beliefs. Example, everyone is buying a certain stock because it's popular, even if its fundamentals are weak, leading to a bubble. So under herd mentality, like for example, there is a day where people just came and told us, hey, we go for quails. And now everybody was keeping quails all over these areas until the eggs of quails now were really too much in the market. You could not even sell. Is there anybody who was caught up in this quails? You know quails, eh? Anybody who was caught up in this quails business? In the quails business? Yeah, Sheila, great. I love people who are truthful. Yeah, that's called a herd mentality. So whenever you are rational, if you are rational, whenever you hear people telling you like, let's plant, like there is this particular crop that was being, is it a fruit? Dragon here. People are planting dragon like my neighbors all over there. I never planted them because I know this concept of a herd mentality. Like women, I'm sorry to use this example, but our women at times they are shepherded. Yeah, they follow this concept of the majority they had. So you'll be told in this case here that now for church, now the church, which is really, I mean, where miracles are happening, it is this church wherever. You get in this case here people leaving their traditional churches very fast. And then they follow one pastor like this. So you get this pastor in this case now tells them in Shakahola, stop eating. The herd mentality. Yeah, the herd mentality. Yeah. I'm not quoting any pastor. I don't. Yeah, like Alfred, you're right. This one, rabbit urine here. There's a time they said rabbit urine cures even, was it cancer or HIV? And people are, harvesting now urine from rabbits. At the end of the day, they ended pouring that entire thing. Yeah, that's a hard mentality. Hard mentality. Please give me these examples. Give me these examples. What is it that you've been caught up in because of this hard mentality? Remember, hard comes from cows, eh? Yeah. What is it that you've been caught up? Like Babwa Loliondo. Yeah, Babwa Loliondo, what he said, many people went simply because they were being told that we drink that particular concoction, which was just a half a glass, and you pay some money. We had even choppers going there. Great. So Loliondo, somebody must have gone to Loliondo. Yeah. Guys going for iPhones, not in Africa then. Not in Africa then. Trading? Are you talking about forex trading? I believe you're talking about forex trading. Yeah, it's a hard, even this gambling, it's a hard mentality. Like some time back, about 8-10 years ago, we had people leaving their jobs, good jobs, and they were setting up, in this case here, funny offices to go and gamble. So we had the people of my age, 46, 47 years, who had never watched football before, but now all of a sudden they became specialists. Because now they are following, other people were cheating them that now, yeah, I'm getting profits of 30,000. I've made this after taking this. And I mean, RXM, yeah, RXM, yes. So it's called a hard mentality. That you never made a decision simply because you knew that here, if I go here, I'll be able to get this return. Where you simply made a decision because everyone else was going there. Everyone else was going there. Yeah. So you left this good road, went to RXM, ukarambwa, but that is life. Because also in finance, I'm teaching you guys to risk. I don't want you to be risk averse. No, we shall be risking. We shall be risking. Valeria, Valeria anasema kwamba na maandamano ni hard mentality. That's a good one, eh? Yeah, my village, our whole bus went to Loliondo. Sunflower, I have not heard of sunflower. That will be a great one. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Great. So it's called hard mentality. That's under what we call in this case here behavioral. You're being influenced by others, not because of really, in this case here, underlying returns. Then we have loss aversion. The psychological tendency to prefer avoiding losses over acquiring equivalent gains. The pain of a loss is felt more strongly than the pleasure of an equivalent gain. Example, holding onto a losing stock for too long, hoping it will recover rather than selling it and cutting losses. Ladies and gentlemen, there are people who fear losses. They would want to avoid losses like nothing. So in this case here, somebody has bought a share at say 5 shillings, and then after 3 days, the share price goes down to 2 shillings. So you'll get somebody in this case who does not want really to make losses. They can't even now sell this at 2. They'll keep on waiting until this thing goes up to 6, 7. But it may maintain like that. It may go the KQ share way. So when you are fearing losses so much, then you are not rational. You should never fear losses so much. Like I was giving some good talk somewhere, yeah, about how the economy, these tough economic times, great talk to ISPAC members. And then somebody shot up and said, mimi, siwezi nikaoa. Namuuliza kwa ananiambia ati mama ni gharama. So nimekumbuka this can be a very good example of what here somebody who is irrational. Because you see, behavioral finance is about irrationality. Who tells you, for example, when you marry this lady, that she's not going to do anything for herself? Because I don't know whether things have changed. During my time, I mean, when I brought in my wife, this lady, even, for example, when you have like, say, even 200, I don't know the magic they were doing. Perhaps the ladies of nowadays, they're not that magicians. Because during our times when we were starting life, somebody would just handle this 200 bob and you get yourself like eating the whole day. So maybe these young men, they have this kind of loss aversion. Yeah, so whenever it's loss aversion, you simply fear losses so much, you would want to avoid these losses, and yet at the end of the day, you are not rational. I mean, when you are 2, you are better off than being 1. After all, when you're a single like this, that food which you keep on throwing every day is the food that will be taken by your people. All right. So loss aversion is a very, very good example of behavioral finance. You simply behave in a certain way, which is irrational, simply because you fear losses. Great. Deshia, the guys who are got in this Deshi drama, using rabbit urine or her child to remove some growing hair, we shall overcome. Cases in Bitcoin. Okay, losing 3M after winning 3.1 M. So you get like 0.1, and then at the end of the day, you lose terribly. My money is our money, but her money is hers. Oh, okay. Those are now new things. I spoke about new things which are coming up. Maybe now that's what is scaring most of these young men. but I believe in marriage. Evolution, nowadays, the sponsors, oh, okay. Ni kama kuchukua loan haitawaisha, pole sana. Kwani nyinyi mnaonyesha hawa vijana wadogo maajabu gani? Every ladies tell us, what do you think in this case is the problem? This is now what we call loss aversion. These people, you're making them to be scared. Now they are making a wrong decision simply because they are not rational. They're not looking at what we call synergy. When we come together, but we shall overcome. Everything will be okay. We shall overcome. Yeah, you can see like DTM was left holding onto Mumia shares. And now you know, Mumia shares are not selling. You guys are very good examples. They're magicians by making money disappear. Yeah, like fearing divorce, you end up rejecting everyone. Yeah, that's loss aversion. Yeah, you simply don't want to get into something and you get separated. So you fear. Yeah, loss aversion. It's a behavioral thing. Yeah, all dust is everywhere. Dust is everywhere. Lending her money and they expect return. We shall overcome. So good examples. Introduce a dust management course. Good examples, great. So loss aversion, these are very good examples that you guys shall be able to remember. So the loss aversion, ladies and gentlemen, when you fear losses so much, you'll not be able to invest even in some stocks. Like for example, myself, I have also a problem with this loss aversion thing. Like initially, I really used to invest in Safaricom shares. I have a good percentage of Safaricom, not percentage, but I mean a good number of Safaricom shares until when Dr. William Ruto took over. And then I started seeing that they are taking over Safaricom. So any business where government has vested interests, I fear such businesses because I know what will happen. Look at, for example, Mumia Sugar, a giant in Western Kenya, which is supposed to be producing not only this sweet sugar that we drink, but also in this case here, a good kilowatts in terms of electricity. But as we speak, because of government interference, Mumia Sugar is on its knees, down on its knees. So whenever government is, I always have what we call fear. So it's what we call loss aversion, which is bad. It's not rational. I mean, what tells me that if the government is there, Safaricom will not, but I mean, at times this aversion is good because even since they started doing like that, Safaricom share price has gone down from what to what? Let me see whether my students are following. Since in this case here, they started taking up, bringing in a lawyer, chairman, and somebody we know. Safaricom shares have come down from what to what price? Are my students of finance reading finance news? They fear responsibility. Kutegemea ladies, those are not my sons. Those are not my sons. The ones who will be able to get into comfort zone, flipping Netflix channels, and then they wait for, of course, if you lose a job, temporarily, like 2 or 3 months, even 1 year, that's okay. But even during that duration, you are a man. You must wake up every day and look for something. So Safaricom shares. All right. We shall overcome. I'm waiting for you guys to tell me. Yeah, so loss aversion is a behavioral finance concept. Then we have overconfidence bias, the tendency for individuals to overestimate their own abilities, knowledge, and judgment, leading to excessive risk-taking or trading. Example, an investor believing they can consistently beat the market and trading too frequently, incurring high transaction costs. In terms of overconfidence, this one here, overconfidence bias, the way I look at it, for example, most of us really believe in this gentleman called Martin Odwor. Yeah, so we know that whichever company that Martin Odwor goes, like myself, when he went to EABL, yeah, from day one, what do? We buy some shares. Yeah, because we know this is a person who really delivers. So after like 3-4 months, I'll be able to get something on top. But you see, that is just being confident about a person. All right. So this overconfidence bias is basically a behavioral thing. It's not a scientific thing, because you may get him like Michael Johnson, the first CEO of Safaricom. I don't know whether it's Johnson or whether I've forgotten. This guy moved to KQ. And for the longest time that he has been at KQ, he has been making losses. Apart from this year, it's now springing up. All right. So this overconfident bias, you think that if this happens, that this company cannot go under. We should not be overconfident as investors. There is no company that can never come down. For those of you who are a little bit old, old enough, you must be remembering 𝗥𝗖𝗠 𝗥𝗶𝘁 were, the company was huge, moving all over East Africa. But where is 𝗥𝗖𝗠 today? We used to have 𝗥𝗏 the other day. If you remember, 𝗥𝗏 used to tell us, if you need it, we've got it. If you go to, do they even have those stores? They have nothing that you will be requiring. So we should never be overconfident. When you are overconfident on a stock, all right, when you believe in the competence and abilities of people are there, people die, people move, things change. If you're overconfident, then automatically that is a behavioral finance. You are not rational. You're not thinking scientifically. All right? Yeah, 𝗥𝗖𝗠 𝗥𝗏𝘃, all those, even cost bus right now is down. They're not able to pay. Yeah, even Nokia now has been overtaken by events. So we should never be overconfident. Never. Inside information, we'll be talking about this quite a lot. So 𝗥𝗏𝘃 is saying like the current president is an example of overconfidence bias, that we really believed in Dr. William Ruto, like he's not able to deliver. Those are not my words. I'm not here to talk about politics. I'm only here to talk about finance. And of course, if I were in leadership, what would I do as an individual? All right. So I don't want to comment about Dr. Ruto being a very good example of confidence bias, because I know here I represent all of us. There are those people who are pro-Ruto, and there are those people in this case here who are pro-Cousins. So I don't want to talk about really that. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Task keys, yeah. Unapostpone safari. That's why I'm telling you that you shall never have this overconfidence. Yeah. So this is something to do with what here. So we come to anchoring bias, the tendency to rely too heavily on the first piece of information offered, the anchor, when making decisions. Example, an investor fixating on the original purchase price of a stock rather than its current market value when deciding whether to do what you have to sell. To ladies and gentlemen, this concept of anchor, it could be an anchor in the name of what the very first person who introduced you to this product told you. So this person came and told you that GNLD is very, very good, right? So you get into GNLD, which is a multi-level marketing concept. So for sure, you know that you'll not be able to even sell those drugs. But you're simply there looking for bus fare. Yeah, from here, you go and take those drugs. I don't know where they were carrying them. You move around with, because of that anchor, the very first meeting that you went. And these people in this case here showed you that they have been able to buy vehicles. They've been able to build in Runda. But when you look at their suits very well, I think also those days people are very stupid. You can always get to know how a person, for example, who stays in Runda looks like. Yeah, I hope you guys understand. If you have ever been to this GNLD thing, you'll get somebody in this case here, for example, has a suit that you can see is pretty new. Yeah, but he is able to still cheat you. Yeah, but because he's the anchor, he's the one who has been welcomed you into this thing, then automatically you will be able to stay there even for 5 years. Okay, if you're making profits, well and good. But you see, you're staying in something simply because you are told that this thing at the end of the day will be able, you should be able, that is all about behavioral. Yeah, it's about psychology, really. You don't want to change your mind. Yeah. Anchor bias. Anchor bias. Anchor bias. anchor buyers. You know, at my level right now, become mzee, and I can tell you there are things we normally try to mediate, but you realize it's about just the anchor. So napata jamaa wanakuja kama ni mambo ya ndoa, mnaongea. Mama yeye ameshatoka kabisa, lakini mzee anataka mama kabisa. Sababu ya anchor. No, they are mean. Bara ya kwenda kukaa pamoja muone ama mfanye namna gani, imekuwa ngumu. Usiweke hiyo anchor atakuwa mtu hapana. There is life beyond this. Yeah, we must always keep on, ladies and gentlemen, in this case here, being rational. I'm making only losses here. Let me, in this case here, pursue what your profits. And these things are in your past papers, you'll be able to see. You'll be able to see how they are brought here. Very, very good. Very, very good. Iko mwenye ameniandikia hapa akaniambia, ukiwachwa, wachika. Yeah, because hakuna kitu kama anchorage in this world. Yeah, wachika roho safi. Na sisemi mwende kuacha spouses. Yeah, spouses, we shall stay with them forever. But just in case if things happen, right? If they happen, please. Unapata mtu ameenda kwa nyumba ya anda kulia huko nje mahali mama ameenda mahali mpya. So namfuata mahali ya kufungulia mlango. Sasa unakaa wewe sasa ni mjinga ina gani? Hiyo ni mambo ya mind too. Hiyo ni psychology. All right. Your future is out there. Your future could be elsewhere. Yeah. So even in terms of investments, ladies and gentlemen, don't come into an industry. Don't come into an industry and then you are anchored there like a ship. Our ships are normally anchored in their docks and all. So for example, you get somebody who simply got an airplane, got a first-class honors, Bachelor of Commerce, they came into insurance sector, and they are not, of course, there are people who make some good money out of insurance. But now these guys get stuck in one sector throughout because they were simply planted there. They were simply anchored there. So in terms of finance, I shall not want to hear someone telling me that Safaricom shares are the best. I want my students here to diversify because that is what traditional finance tells us. Diversify for you to be able to make returns. I shall not be anchored onto one stock, which is a bad stock, and then I shall not sell. No, I will divest and then I diversify. Great. Yeah. Unapambana na Gen Z. Okay. Yeah. Are we anchored in CPA? Are we anchored in CPA? That maybe CPA may not be having that money, but again, we ourselves are finding, no, for me, CPA is the very, very best course. But what you need to do is to diversify. Like Mwalimu here did an undergraduate in civil engineering. I did CPA later. Or rather, when I was doing my civil, I was also doing CPA. Finished that, went to ACCA. I diversified. When you diversify, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, you will really, really be able to fit in because CPA is a good course. Never be cheated. CPA is a good course. I don't think that you are anchored in CPA wrongfully. Yeah, CPA is a good course. Great. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't be anchored. Yeah, I don't know whether P is asking like masters, which one is the better. Yeah, great. So we shall not be anchored really. No. Yeah, please try as much as possible in this case here. Try as much as possible to put all your questions and comments openly. Don't inbox. Don't inbox. Put everything openly here because you're learning. You know, we are learning. This ninja who is inboxing here is asking whether being anchored to one woman is good. You know, Christianity does not allow you to be anchored in several. There are things that you cannot diversify. You now you are sick. That's why I want you to put everything open. Put everything open here. Yeah, confirmation bias, very similar to what we have discussed. The tendency to seek out, interpret, and remember information that confirms one's beliefs while ignoring contradictory evidence. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, there are so many evidences outside here. We shall be able to consider all of them for us to make rational decisions. An investor only reading news articles that support the decision to buy a certain stock, ignoring negative reports. Under confirmation bias, ladies and gentlemen, you simply want to confirm your heart is already with, for example, 𝗥𝗖𝗠. So when you go, in this case here, for example, to Facebook or even YouTube, you're only searching 𝗥𝗖𝗠. Yeah. That's confirmatory biases. Because at the end of the day, whatever now you'll be getting here will be something that supports one ideology. One ideology. Yeah. So if it's Ruto you're only looking for, so even when you are passing around, if you're a Ruto's follower, if you see 𝗥𝗖𝗠 saying, you simply scroll up. Don't wonder. So you are simply confirming your earlier beliefs, which is bad in finance. Finance wants you to open, the traditional finance wants you to open your mind up. So they can get to hear what evidences do you have here, what evidences do you have here, and then now you make your mind knowing the truth, knowing the truth, knowing the truth. All right, great students, great. So if you allow me, so why it matters, explains market anomalies, helps explain why markets are not always efficient and why prices can deviate from fundamental values. So somebody will tell us that by tomorrow, the market value of Safaricom will be 30 bob, maybe 30 bob. But when tomorrow comes, in this case, the market price of Safaricom is 50. So what happened? They had the concept. People were pushed. Yeah, somebody was mentioning something to do with insider trading. Maybe somebody just came and cheated them that this time round, Safaricom will be giving this kind of dividends. Now, because they expect to get huge dividends, everybody runs into the market saying, I want Safaricom shares from the counters. So that, of course, will help us, or rather will make the market to be distorted. Improves investment decisions. By understanding these biases, investors can learn to recognize and mitigate their own irrational tendencies. Get to know, ladies and gentlemen, that, for example, we have this confirmation bias. Yeah, that myself, I'm basically biased to just reading information about Safaricom shares. Now, because I've known that, that will improve my investment decision making. Why? Because I'll be able to understand that I have a problem. And now get into that platform where I'm able to read information from also other counters. Financial advising, financial advisors use behavioral finance to help clients make better decisions, manage their emotions, and avoid common pitfalls. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, like most of us, like most of these ladies, ladies and gentlemen here, will always make what we call impulse purchases. So under impulse purchases, somebody has just gone to a supermarket to procure, in this case here, for example, Vaseline. But as they're moving around, they get to, for example, shelf A. They say, hey, I want that. It was not in their budget. It wasn't in their mind. I want this, I want this, I want this. Ladies and gentlemen, you know that is cognitive. That's all about the mind, all right? All right. So the moment in this case here, you know that you have got that problem, or you are, and the people you're advising have got that problem, then you'll be able to tell them, remember you have these million Kenya shillings. But as you get outside of there, I want you to be rational. Impulse purchasing should be something that you should be aware of. But I want you to be rational. So for financial advisors, in terms of investments, it's good whenever advising these people, tell them we have what we call rationality and we have what we call irrationality. So rationality is where you sit down and here, like everybody is buying small lands. And then you say, even me, I want land. So try to talk to your people, telling them that we have also what we call behavioral finance, which is always pushing people down and down economically. Like most of my friends happen to be having very, very serious friends where we always go in terms of showing ourselves. Yeah, we simply live a low life because already we have been able to sense danger ahead of us. So because we are able to sense danger ahead of us, we are able to know, for example, our kids, if we don't set up good businesses today, we'll be able to employ our kids in the future. So then there is no way. That's why you will get myself in this case here, for example, in a matatu. Yeah, I may not be that rich, but I believe even if I wanted to afford, whichever kind of vehicle, these normal vehicles, I'll be able to afford. But I look at, for example, if I put this money here, and for example, opening a nursery school in Kitengela, I would rather open a nursery school because I'm looking at what we call rational, traditional finance. I'm trying to look at where should I put my bet? Where should I place my investments? Most of these young people, ladies and gentlemen, they live a fake cognitive life. And I'll always keep on telling you this. Many are times my students have invited me to most of these clubs. When we go with them to most of these clubs, because I can't, this is the only class, by the way, people have never invited me nowhere. This is the only, I think this is the first class. Most of my class students will come and tell me, and they take me to just normal places here. They buy me yama. This is the first class. Yeah, but we shall be able to talk about that. So when I go there, and then you get somebody buying, in this case here, some brand. Yeah, where in this case here, this brand has to be escorted by very beautiful ladies who are singing, and I mean, they're praising this thing. When you look at the bill, it's 40,000, 50,000. At my age, I can afford to give that. But when you're trying to plan yourself to go up, this is your investment phase. It's not the phase in this case here where you tell me that, Mwalimu, you know, we are going to leave this earth in this case here for a very short time. No, you're going to be on this earth for 100 years. There is a phase where you have to save a lot. After all, life starts at 40, not unless you've hit 40. It doesn't matter how much you're earning, ladies and gentlemen, it becomes very, very bad. When I go burying some of these very, very great young men who are getting salaries of 700,000, we go to bury them at home, and then you realize even at home, they have got nothing, even a pit latrine. It's really shameful. Yeah. So please, you should be able to know that this particular time I have to be a bit conservative. But when you hit my age now, students, my kids are now growing quite fast. There's an age you'll reach, and then you should be able now to start. Even if it's enjoying that could be. And I'm not saying that you really, really be. Yeah, I can see. let me go to another topic. Let me go to another topic, because now you guys are getting personal. Because I can see you are spendthrifts, right? Yeah. So derivative markets in developing countries. So this is the last one, I think. 9.8. This is the last one, I think. 9.8. This is the last one, I think. 9.8. Let me just check before we go to. Yeah, past papers. So if you allow me, I'll be able to go through the last one. And please don't think that I'm wasting time. I want this thing to be in your memories forever, in a way that you'll be able to use this in your exams and even in your future lives. Because I want, even when most of you are buying vehicles, don't buy a very big vehicle to start with. Buy a kadudu. Yeah, something that is really, really fuel saving. Kitu kidogo namna hii. Usiende with what your friends are telling you. No. Oh, we are stingy, great. Inviting you to Diani. Wow, great. Thank you so much. Yeah. Kigali, Rwanda, they love me. Great. I will be going to Kigali very, very soon. Yeah, munipeleke golf, yeah. Munipeleke golf club. I've been to Kakamega Golf Club. They make very good tea. Very good. Hello, Alfred, like kama no overtax. Mwalimu anakula kitu kidogo sana. We shall overcome. Busia for dinner, great. He'll be able to come. We shall overcome. Drinks na mayengs, yeah. Young people, great. I've got no problem with that, because I come to advise my daughters and my sons. Yeah. So Eric, I mean, if you call me to Rongai, I will come comfortably. Yeah. So Alfred is saying that a rational person is someone who is sensible and is able to make decisions based on intelligent thinking, rather than, you never finished intelligent thinking. I've got these two options. I mean, this thing for making money. Yeah. Hata ukienda kwa tithe, kumbuka kanisa ni 10%. Lakini sasa umeenda kwa kanisa, unaekelewa mkono namna hii, unaanguka chini pungulu. Ukiamuka umetoa pesa yote ile mzee alikuwa amesema tuweke kidogo namna hii tujenga kitu. Umpeana pesa. Si mimi naona kama 10% inasemekana. Yeah, the other day tuliona kwa news, mama alipeana pesa mingi sana, mzee akaenda kufuata pesa kwa mzee kuna right, ingawa kupewa pesa. Hata kama yuko mwingine alikuwa anasema alipeana 5 million. Sasa baadaye anataka hiyo pesa, imagine. You guys must have watched these things on TikTok. Yote ni it's not bad, but it's not really making intelligent choices, because it's all about being intelligent. So if it's the Quran, what does it say about giving? If it's Bible, what does it say about giving? You can't tell me that you're giving everything and laughing in international. Of course, I know blessings are there. Blessings are there. Blessings are there. Yeah, Kigali, great. Kisumu Dara, great. After exams, great. Polo Club, wow. I'm taller than Kadudu. No, Eric, you got to be example. Yeah, hata kama ni gani ile Toyota Wantena mwana ile ya kitambo. So long as ni ya kwanza maisha kupeleka watu shule hapa na pale, kitu ambacho una afford. Na saa zingine unaiacha kwa nyumba unatembea mguu namna hiyo unafanya mazoezi, kitu una afford. Great. So then allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to continue here. Yeah. So then we have what we call derivatives. Derivatives. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would want to simplify. This is very, very, very common in your exams. Yeah, like you can see here, over the counter, like last semester, over the counter agreements in relation to the operations of the derivatives market. Very, very common. Very, very. This is also a derivatives, exchange traded options and over the counter options in relation to derivatives markets. Very common in your exams. You understand that this will be having over 10 marks, theory marks. Yeah, and I'll do this in 20 minutes. Do you think in this case here we need like a 5-minute break and then we continue, or are you okay? Do you think it will be important to have like a 5 minutes health break for you young people? And please always feel free. I'm your father. Feel free to interject and tell me, Mwalimu, now you need a break or something. It's important, yes. Let's finish. Yeah, then I think so. 5 minutes will be very good. 5 minutes will be very good. Yeah, we'll come back at 9:30 exactly. No, let's just come back at 9:30. It's important because I want this derivatives market to sit in our minds very well. And if possible, in those 5 minutes, I would want you guys to do 5 squats. Everybody, please come back sweating and happy. 5 squats. Yeah, take water, 5 squats. I'll also do mine. They're all press-ups, right? Yeah, I'll do mine as well. Thank you. Yes, I forgot this. Very, very important. So now we are looking at derivatives, and I was trying to give my students here a very simple example that I'm running a hotel here in Nairobi, and we are able to sell chips, and the price of chips changes rarely. Let's put it at 150 Kenya shillings for a packet of potato. But we know that, not potato, but chips. We know that these chips are made of what here? Potatoes, whose prices really fluctuates. It could be 7,000 one day, 3,000 another day. So then it will be very important for me to cushion myself, to reinforce myself against adverse fluctuations of these potato prices. So then the most important thing to do is to look for a place known for potato farming. I will go to Nyandarua, yeah, Borana, these great places here where warus are very, very many. So then we get a farmer who has got, say, 30 acres of land. We enable this farmer to plant. We buy for him seeds and fertilizers. But then we enter into some contract with this farmer. Tell this farmer, in this case here, once you are able to harvest these potatoes, we shall come and buy all of them at 4,000. So we draw a contract between ourselves. In 6 months' time, during harvesting, we shall be able to come and buy. We shall be able to come and buy all your potatoes at 4,000. So we have a contract. So during harvesting, there'll be farmers selling potatoes in that region even for 10,000. But remember, as a hotelier, I already have a contract with this great lady or great man to buy potatoes at 4,000. So this contract is what we call a derivative. Because this contract, at the end of the day, I can sell it. It is an asset which is able to generate cash flows in the future. The profit I'll be getting because I'll be buying these potatoes cheaply. All right. So it's an asset. So if I go to a derivatives market, I'll be able to sell this contract there so that another person now can take advantage of that price, which is fixed. So now, ladies and gentlemen, please listen and listen to me very well. This potatoes price, of course, will keep on fluctuating in the market. When they become expensive, my paper asset, the contract, also becomes expensive. So now you can see this contract here is deriving its value from the potatoes. So basically, it is the one that is, it's the blanket, surrounding the price of these potatoes. So whenever we talk of derivatives, what is a derivative? So a derivative, so we are told here, developing countries often have less mature and liquid financial markets compared to developed economies. The introduction and the growth of derivatives market in these countries face unique opportunities and the challenges. I don't know why I never defined what a derivative is. Can you guys in this case here try looking for the definition of the word derivative and put it here in the chat? Oh, I'm being schooled here that potatoes normally take between 3 and 4 months. Thanks, Alfred. Every day is a learning day. Every day is a learning day. So what is a derivative? Somebody use whichever search engine. It could be ChatGPT, AI, or even Google. Tell us what is a derivative in finance. What is a derivative in finance? I would want to get the best definition, which will come in your exam. It is any financial instrument that is able to derive its value from some underlying asset, from the value of this underlying asset. So there must be an original asset that this derivative will be covering to ensure that these underlying asset price fluctuations don't throw us into a loss. So I'm being told here by a great student called 𝗥𝗖𝗠 derivatives are contracts whose value is based on underlying assets such as stocks, commodities, currencies, interest rates, or market indices. David says, derivative is a financial contract whose value is derived from the performance of an underlying asset. Thank you so much. I don't have to read any more definitions. We're being told by David that if you're writing down that a derivative is a financial contract whose value is derived from the performance of an underlying asset. Yeah, and this happens even in marriage. Yeah, you will realize, ladies and gentlemen, for the men, the very last time you'll ever see your marriage certificate is during the wedding day. After wedding day, you will never see your marriage certificate. So that marriage certificate, of course, now automatically is a contract, right? It's a financial contract, right? Yeah, if it was to be traded, you see now the person being covered, the cover day is the husband. Yeah, so if this husband is really, really very good, he knows how to do their part of, or rather they know how to discharge the responsibilities. This husband, in this case here, he's all over. Like myself, I want to believe I'm not a bad husband because I'm here up to 10 p.m. looking for food for my people. Yeah. So I believe, ladies and gentlemen, my marriage certificate can be highly valued, right? We shall overcome. Please don't rate me. I don't want you to rate me. But that marriage certificate, in this case here, it is getting a value out of the asset it's covering. So if the asset that it's covering here is a high value, then this particular financial contract will also become of a higher value. And of course, if this marriage certificate is of a higher value, you will never see it now permanently. Yeah, never. Even myself, actually, I remember tonight to ask my wife, because we did some wedding some time back. Yeah. Ile AG, nilifanya ile AG na I'm proud of it. Yeah. So lakini namuuliza ile certificate lakini iko wapi? Nitakumbuka leo. So whenever we talk of a derivative, it's a financial contract. Yeah, like that marriage certificate, whose value is derived from performance of an underlying asset, such as stock. Don't write husband here, right? Such as stock. So is there somebody who has been able to write, ladies and gentlemen, that definition? Is there anybody who has been able to write that definition down? Anybody who has been able to write that definition down? Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Great. And I hope those examples I'm giving you guys will be able to remember them in your exams. Please don't forget to remember those examples in your exams. They're very, very good. But don't quote them. You know that there are many contracts. So developing countries often have less mature, like Kenya. We tried coming up with a derivatives market. You can Google later on and see the derivatives market in Kenya. is not very, very good. I went to Ethiopia about before COVID, 2018. Yeah, and if you look at Ethiopia, for example, the derivatives market, like we have what we call Ethiopia Coffee Exchange. Do research on it. Even a coffee farmer, I mean, even before you harvest, you'll always have people coming to draw contracts with you. You are selling those contracts. You're getting profits even before this coffee is ready. Yeah. So you get like Ethiopia farmers are really motivated. Yeah, because in Ethiopia as a farmer, it's very, very hard for you to make what losses because of the speculations, because of the contract. Somebody comes and says that these potatoes will be doing very well, and then they draw a contract on you. So you are able to trade in so many things. So you're able to realize cash flows in so many other ways other than the cash crop itself. Of course, you know, Kenya here, our leaders are always on top of vehicles, so no right decisions are being made. We are trying to push, in this case here, we appoint a president today, tomorrow we start saying we don't want you. Yeah, and that is why, if you ask me, ladies and gentlemen, the only system that can ever work in Kenya here is the monarchy. The monarchy. Yeah, in this case here, anything called the 50% plus one democracy is very expensive. We shall never be able to go anywhere with it. Yeah, you'll be pushed, like as a president, you start giving like even 100 or 200 million shillings every day to go to Harambes to please people. That system does not work. If you look at Saudi Arabia, if you look at even the UK, most of the countries that are quite stable, they exercise the monarchy system, where we have a queen and of course a king down there. And then of course we'll be able to have like the prime minister, etc. Countries in this case that have got a monarchy which is working, they are really, really, really good. Really good. Yes, it can be used. Yes, it can be used as a collateral. Yes. Mmoja anasema kama hii ndio ile ya mafefe. Unajua kwa mafefe. Very good. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. When it's a lakini, I saved good money, Moses. I saved good money, Moses, and I'm still enjoying my marriage. Wewe fanya ya 5 million, what I mean nifanya ya mafefe. Ya mafefe ndio mzuri. Marriage in marriage. Shauri yako wewe. Very good. So the introduction and the growth of derivatives market in these countries face unique opportunities and challenges. Opportunities, risk management. You'll be able to help me manage my risks, provide tools for businesses and investors to hedge against currency fluctuations, commodity price volatility, especially for agricultural economies like Kenya, and interest rate changes. This can stabilize business operations and attract foreign investments. Market efficiency and price discovery. Derivatives market help in better price discovery for underlying assets as they reflect market expectations about future prices. Diversification, now you can diversify because we have derivative products, we have the real products. So offer new investment opportunities for local and international investors. Attracting foreign investment. A well-developed derivatives market can make a country's financial market more attractive to international investors seeking risk management tools. If you look at Ethiopia, because of the coffee exchange, you know, Ethiopia, they have the best coffee. Like myself, I really, really love coffee. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, whether there are people here who are very, very good. Yeah, or rather who have got good taste for coffee. I'll be able to tell you this coffee is not good, this one is good, because good coffee, you don't need any sugar to drink good coffee. Yeah, yeah. So when you go to Ethiopia, you'll be told in this, even here in Tanzania, you'll be able to get very, very good varieties of coffee, right? In Kenya, people don't believe in coffee so much because we like cow milk. You know, coffee doesn't go very good with cow milk. Yeah, coffee is black. That's how you take it, right? Here we like cow milk, and yet we know very well, and I wish I knew this much earlier, that as a big person who is over a good number of years, you're not supposed to drink milk. Milk is supposed to be drunk by very, very young babies. Yeah. The moment you hit some age, automatically you become lactose intolerant. Yeah, unaanza kuwa na mwili inakuwa sio mzuri, but we shall overcome. We shall overcome. And now you people start paying me because I'm teaching you more than finance. Yeah, we shall overcome. So in this case, diversification offers new opportunities for locals. So I was saying something here about this attracting foreign investment. So like now in Ethiopia, because of that coffee exchange commodities, it is bringing so many investors in Ethiopia. Actually, over there, because of the coffee exchange, they even attract tourists. Yeah, very, very important. All right, so capital market development here, like our NSC, the moment we bring in these derivatives, it will be really, really big. Already we have it, but not working very well. Contributes to overall sophistication and depth of the financial system. Challenges, lack of liquidity. Markets might be thin, meaning that there aren't enough buyers and sellers, making it difficult to execute trades at fair prices. Like even land in Nairobi here, and indeed the whole country, we are facing what we call liquidity challenges. You're not able to sell. So in this case here, you have bought a contract here, a derivative, you may not be able to sell because there are not enough buyers. Regulatory framework, developing robust regulations to prevent market manipulation, ensure transparency, and protect investors is critical and often challenging. So having a regulatory framework, ladies and gentlemen, is very, in most cases, governments interfere. Look at, for example, today the dollar is going for 128. Do you believe in this case that there is something that the government did so much which made our Kenya shilling to really have a high value? No. Of course, there are many, many things like the oil trade contracts, etc. But trust me, because I know, I read a lot, Kenya government is interfering. That is the truth of the matter. Yeah, they're able to use, in this case here, the central bank, whenever dollars are very, very scarce. So the government releases dollars to these banks. Yeah. So that's what is happening. There's nothing like magic they have done. Don't be cheated, but shall be able to. So the same case with these derivatives. It's a challenge because at the end of the day, we shall have the government trying to manipulate the prices, trying to control the prices of these commodities. It's a challenge. Market infrastructure, you don't have, in this case here, these clearing and settlement systems may be underdeveloped. Lack of expertise, shortage of skilled professionals, the traders, the hedgers, the risk managers, regulators who understand complex derivative instruments. Volatility, the price changes often, big time. Counterparty risk for OTC derivatives, the risk that one party to a contract will fail to meet the obligation, especially prevalent in less regulated OTC markets. Remember, OTC, we're going to study this, is over-the-counter contract, where we have two people. I go to Equity Bank across the counter, we draw contracts, and then I buy. So you see, when it is between two people, there's a high risk that I may default. So if I default, then the other party, of course, will make losses. Yeah. So in this case here, we are saying, ladies and gentlemen, very, very importantly, that whenever you are looking at counter, there is this risk. The risk that one party to a contract will fail to honor their part. Yeah. Data availability, reliable and real-time data on underlying assets might be scarce. Remember, you need a lot of data for you to be able to forecast. It may be scarce. So in Kenya here, the Nairobi Exchange has introduced derivatives products, such as equity index futures, aiming to deepen the capital markets and providing hedging tools. However, the market is still nascent at the infancy stage, and the building liquidity and investor awareness are ongoing challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we should be able to stop there.